Us on this day after Memorial Day, and joining us now, Captain Criss Turnipseed, the Director of the Mississippi Highway Patrol Public Affairs Division. Captain, good to see you this morning, sir.
Good day, Gerard. How are you doing? Did you have a good holiday?
Yes, sir, I sure did, and that's why we want to talk to you. How did we do out there on the roadways over the holiday?
Well, we did as expected. It was a busy holiday weekend. Gas prices, I don't think, excluded anyone from traveling this weekend. Well, we had a really good weekend. I did have 4 fatal crashes, but which is bad enough. But probably wrote around a little bit over 15,000 citations over the holiday weekend. So it was a busy weekend.
What's the typical citation? Speeding?
Well, I mean, yes, a lot of speeding, a lot of seatbelt violations. Wrote about 1,600 of those over the weekend. Speeding is probably going to be your primary one, and just different other things as well. No license, no expired tags, all that kind of good stuff. A lot of non-hazardous violation as well.
So we're just driving too fast, and folks driving without a seatbelt. You said 1,600 seatbelt violations?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This kind of holiday always kind of coincides with the national Click It or Ticket campaign. So we pay a lot of attention to the restrained, non-restrained motorists. So 1,600 with no seatbelt on this weekend. That would include your child restraint and adult occupant violations.
How does that typically occur? How does a trooper come upon a motorist or say a child or passenger that doesn't have their seatbelt on? Do they observe this and then pull them over, or are they pulling them over for some other violation, and as part of that they note that they don't have their seatbelt on?
A little bit of both, Gerard. Some of it is observed after an initial traffic stop. Some of it's just troopers and they're traveling and looking. I'm sitting right here at an intersection right now, and I can very easily observe people with no seatbelts on if I was so inclined to. But it's just a combination of observation of the officer and whether he's traveling, patrolling, or whether he's observes it on a traffic stop for another violation.
So when the trooper approaches them and says, I pulled you over, or I note you don't have your seatbelt on, what do they say? What's the reason?
Oh, forgot to wear. That's one of the things. I've been on the patrol for over 23 years now, Gerard. That was one thing I've never really understood is when you see a trooper, why you wouldn't put your seatbelt on. There's a lot of folks that I don't know where their mind is or what they're thinking about, but that would probably be one of the first things I do. I observe a lot of folks a lot of times, at a stop sign or a red light, and I always call it the magical seatbelt, where you see that seatbelt kind of easing over the shoulder of an occupant. He's not looking at me, and he's looking straight ahead, but he's got his arm moving and easing that seatbelt over, and I always get a good laugh out of those. I appreciate them, at least putting them on at that point in time. At least they recognize it. But a lot of folks don't. A lot of folks just don't even think about it. That law's been around for a long time, and you would think it would be second nature, but it's still a challenge for a lot of folks to get those seatbelt on. It starts at a young age too. We see that if you wear that child restraint as a child, that as you grow up, your kids, your folks make you wear that seatbelt. That usually carries over into the adult years. So a lot of that has to tend to deal with just not being restrained young and just not being taught. It just never becomes a habit.
Yeah. So
back in our day, back in our day, the seatbelt was mom's arm across your chest.
That's pretty much right.
Those times are still are kind of phasing out right now with seatbelt usage. But hopefully we'll get, as time goes by, we'll get a lot more compliance with that law as the younger generation comes through and get out of that mom's arm times there.
Final question on seatbelts, Captain. In your opinion, and in what you've seen and witnessed and accounts from the troopers, are they effective? Do they save lives? Do they keep people from getting hurt in these crashes?
They do. I would say that there are some crashes, the severity, the speed, the impact that, there's nothing that's going to be able to save when it's a tremendous crash. but a lot of crashes, well, there's no such thing, I guess, as a basic crash, but a lot of the crashes, death and injury can be prevented. And there's a lot of testimonials, a lot of folks that have those seatbelts on and wear those seatbelts that will testify to I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't have my seatbelt. Specifically in your overturn, your rollover crashes where people get ejected. When you get ejected from a vehicle, your chances of surviving that crash percentages are really low. The safest place to be during a crash is actually inside the vehicle. So when you get thrown out, and you're kind of exposed out there for the world, and your body can't take the impact from those G forces and those elements outside the vehicle. So being inside the vehicle is the safest place to be in a crash, and a seatbelt that's what it's made for, to keep you inside the vehicle. Also with the airbags, working together, conjunction together, your chances of surviving and walking away a lot more healthy are a lot higher.
Are there any particular areas of the state or specific roads or roadways that turn out to be more dangerous and more inclined to produce crashes than others?
Well, I don't want to put any place or anything into a box, because as soon as you talk about one place, another place becomes a problem. I don't think that that's necessarily because of the location of where it is. Intersections are traditionally you're more at risk areas. When you come up to an intersection, somebody pulling out, especially if it's over a hill or a blind spot around a curve or something, those traditionally tend to be your most dangerous spots. So those are always, every time I come to an intersection, I see someone coming up to the stop sign, I go ahead and anticipate they're going to pull out in front of me, and I'm already ready to respond. And that's just the way you have to drive. It's called defensive driving. But we go back, with the cell phone and all the distractions, any highway can be just as dangerous as the other. And, we're seeing that right now, that, our fatal crashes are not just, restricted to a few areas. They're just anywhere. They just pop up randomly all over the state. So there's really no specific spot. It just depends on what the circumstances are that day: distraction, weather, other environmental factors, what the lay of the land is, like I said before. But it could be anywhere. I wouldn't drop my guard just because I was on a certain piece of roadway.
On a busy 3-day weekend like we just had, Captain, does the patrol increase the numbers on the streets of patrolling the roads?
We did, and like I said, you look back to this 15,000 citations plus that were wrote over the weekend. We increase it the best way we can. What they do is they cancel the days off, so where no troopers can take off over the holiday weekend. So that gives you everybody we got out on the highways, and gives you full coverage on all shifts. Also, there's some federal overtime money that's available during these holidays, and everybody would like to get their hand on that, so they come out and work those too. So where we get our manpower from is where it's already here, what we have, and we just put them all at work, and it really shows up in the numbers when you've got everybody working, as opposed to a weekend where troopers can't work 24/7. They have to have days off, but you can definitely tell the difference when everybody's made to work on the weekends and those times off, and they don't get to be with their families, but but you can definitely tell the difference in the numbers on the citations road, because everybody's working, everybody's out there patrolling and working at the same time.
Yeah, I'm still blown away at the number. 16,000 citations written. Oh, is that for the entire 3 days?
It's actually 15,263, and that's 3 days. That travel period started at 12:01, I guess you would say Friday morning, and concluded last night at midnight. So it was pretty much all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then yesterday.
Wow, that's incredible. And 1,600 of those were for seatbelt violations, which is kind of a hard.
Gerard.
It's a hard number to fathom. I got to tell you, Captain, I'm just blown away at that. And that's just the ones you know about, you see, that you actually cite. That doesn't count the ones that are out there not restrained.
Well, and that is just the ones Highway Patrol. I mean, if you look into the cities and counties, to what they saw and what they wrote, the numbers would be a lot higher, I'm sure.
Yeah. Captain, always a pleasure talking to you, sir. We appreciate you joining us today, and please extend our gratitude to the troopers that work this weekend to keep our roadways safe. We really do always appreciate them. Take care.
Thank you, Jar. We will do, but thank you for letting us get on and talk about safety over this weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. We'll be right back on Middays. Stay with us.